Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be talking about how the feds asked TikTok for lots of domestic spying features. And so when you're wondering why everyone has been fomenting to have TikTok sanctioned, banned from the United States and Western countries, it's because the Western-led, American-led intelligence community wants to have more access to spying on Americans. And Chinese companies are not allowing Americans to spy on various people on their platforms, on their applications. And so the article is on Gizmodo, and it says the US government regulators reportedly tried to come to an agreement with TikTok to prevent banning the app that would have granted the federal government vast powers over the app. So again, this is directly a transactional relationship where in exchange for granting spying privileges, they wouldn't be banned. So when you're buying Chinese products, you're getting the benefit of not being spied on from the intelligence community of the Western world. And so this says that's according to a draft of a deal between TikTok and the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, obtained by Forbes, a contract that would have multiple U.S. agencies multiple U.S. agencies unprecedented access into the app's records and operations. Many of the concessions the government asked of TikTok look eerily similar to the surveillance tactics critics have accused Chinese officials of abusing. So again, when they accuse China of something, that is simply projection, and we have a ton of evidence that supports that it's actually that America wants to do the surveillance, not China. To allay fears, a short-form video app could be used as a Chinese surveillance tool. The federal government nearly transformed it into an American one instead. So you either have the potential for a surveillance app for China, or you have the absolute reality of a surveillance app for America. Forbes reports that the draft agreement dated summer 2022 would have given the U.S. government agencies like the Department of Justice and Department of Defense far more access to TikTok's operations than that of any other social media company. The agreement would let agencies examine TikTok's U.S. facilities, records, and servers with minimal prior notice and veto the hiring of any executive involved with leading TikTok U.S. data security organization. It also let U.S. agencies block changes to the app's terms of service in the U.S. and order the company to subject itself to various audits, all on TikTok's dime. Per Forbes, in extreme cases, the agreement would allow government organizations to demand TikTok temporarily shut off function in the U.S. So this is just ridiculous Orwellian surveillance staged by the United States. And obviously, TikTok is pushing back on that. Okay, so as has been widely reported, we've been working with CFI US for well over a year to implement a national security agreement and have invested significant resources in implementing a firewall to isolate US user data. A TikTok spokesperson said, today, all new protected US user data is stored in the Oracle Cloud infrastructure in the US with tightly controlled and monitored gateways. We are doing more than any peer company to safeguard US national security interests, which is hilarious because they're doing all of this just to not allow America access to conduct surveillance on the American population. So they're actually doing more to uphold the American Constitution and American rights and laws than American companies are doing. The draft document, which Gizmodo could not independently verify, is reportedly around 100 pages and contains comments sent between attorneys representing ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese-owned parent company, and CFI US. The agreement, if accepted as written at the time, would open TikTok's U.S. operations up to supervision by a number of external third-party auditors and source code inspectors. ByteDance leaders, whom U.S. lawmakers and whistleblowers have accused of maintaining close connections with the Chinese Communist Party, would be excluded from some security-related decisions involving the U.S. version of the app. Okay. Provisions described in the guidelines weren't always agreed on by both parties. In several instances, according to Forbes, TikTok's attorneys pushed back against terms that would let the government alter what types of user data ByteDance employees could view. Another point of disagreement emerged when the government reportedly asked for limitless veto power over TikTok's future contracts. Obviously, that would not be acceptable. I mean, the U.S. government, see, here's the thing. I do think that platforms, social media platforms, should be held to the standards of social media platforms instead of being held to the standards of platforms while also acting as publishers. And so if they apply this directly to every social media platform, if they apply these same stringent rules, I'd be more okay with it. But the fact that they're doing this just with TikTok makes it seem very suspicious that it's because of the fact that TikTok is the only one not giving them this direct access for the intelligence community to spy on Americans. So at one point, TikTok reportedly altered language that would have allowed government officials to demand changes to the app's recommendation algorithm if it promoted content the agencies disagree with. Okay, so they want to propagandize their population, and TikTok was not allowing them to directly control how people get information on the app. Okay, so it says CFI US started investigating ByteDance 4 years ago during the Donald Trump administration over growing fears from lawmakers and a portion of the public who worried Chinese government officials could use it to spy on Americans. We already know that America spies on us. You just have to look at all the whistleblowers within the American government. Assange talked about this a lot. The American government is spying on all Americans pretty much all the time. So the article goes on to say, following threats of a ban by then President Trump, TikTok said it had agreed to a data routing agreement with Oracle called Project Texas, where new U.S. user data would be stored on Oracle's cloud infrastructure in the U.S. But news, investigations, and whistleblowers reported over the past year have called into question the effectiveness and timeline of TikTok's data security commitments. Multiple ByteDance employees were caught spying on users and journalists looking into the company, which then sparked a Department of Justice investigation. CFI US's attitudes towards TikTok appears to have soured sometime between the draft proposal in March of this year, when the organization reportedly threatened TikTok with a nationwide ban if its Chinese owners didn't sell their stakes in the app. So, yeah, it's just, again, as I was talking about, America wants access to all of the user data. They want to be able to surveil the entire U.S. population. And sometimes they'll do this through third parties. So they will conduct surveillance using the intelligence community of, say, the United Kingdom or Australia or something like that, such as like through the Five Eyes organization. And other times they will just overtly break your rights as an American. They will overtly trample on your rights as an American and surveil you even if you've done nothing wrong. So Americans don't recognize exactly how many rights they've lost since the 9/11 attacks and how this has benefited the intelligence community in terms of oppressing its own population. You're seeing this nonstop where the intelligence community quite frequently considers Americans who would consider themselves patriotic. They consider themselves to be domestic terrorists, to be enemies of the state. You saw even really mild protests such as the January 6th protest where the Capitol was stormed, which the Capitol has been stormed on other occasions, where a protester on January 6th was murdered, and these people who did not bring any guns, they were considered to be trying to overthrow the country. Just ridiculous statements. And it's because the intelligence community considers the people of America, particularly the Christian people of America, I don't want to go into too much detail about that, to be domestic terrorists. They consider them to be surveilled or needing to be surveilled. I believe, and I think there's a lot of evidence supporting this, and more people are waking up to this fact that the American government and the American intelligence community is controlled by the Zionist banking cartels, and they don't look favorably upon the average American citizen, and they want to surveil them as much as possible. And you're seeing that in this article as well, where if you want to not be surveilled by your government and you're an American, you'd probably want to buy a Chinese phone because they're the least likely to be surveilled. You want to use Chinese apps because they're the least likely to be surveilled, because China's just not putting up with this garbage from the American intelligence community that is hostile towards everyone, not only just their own population. So anyways, that's what I'll leave you with. If you found this to be informative, helpful in any way, please give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel for more content on YouTube and Rumble. Please leave us a comment in the comment box below. Questions, concerns, critiques you might have. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.